All right, our next topic here is the second derivative test. So the second derivative test is another way to find extrema. Now, I want to note the first derivative test and the second derivative test give you the same conclusion. They give you the same extrema values. As such, there's not really any justification for why you might choose to use one over the other from a mathematics perspective. From a personal perspective, you can pick whichever one is your favorite. I would encourage you to give both of them a good fair try and see which one you genuinely prefer. So for our second derivatives test, we have several steps. So step one, and this is going to be true for all of our steps, we want to find our domain. And by find our domain, we're looking at where does f of x not exist? What values of x break f of x? And we're going to have three places: anything that causes division by 0, anything that causes the even root, so like a square root or a fourth root of a negative number, and anywhere that causes you to take the logarithm of a non-positive number, so a negative number or 0. So our step one is find our domain. Step two, we need to find f prime of x and f double prime of x. Now you may be asked to take the derivatives yourself. You may be given these. But in either case, you're going to need both f prime of x and f double prime of x for your second derivative test. All right, step three, you're going to find any critical numbers. Now again, our critical numbers tend to be anywhere where f prime of x equals 0 or where f prime of x does not exist. The first one's pretty straightforward. With the second one, we're looking for anything that breaks f prime of x, but these could also include situations where you have a change of definition in your f of x, if you're doing a piecewise function, or if you're dealing with an absolute value function where that function kind of bounces. So these are the things we're looking for our critical values. Now our next step, 4, is we're going to test f double prime of x at each critical value or critical number. We're going to do this, in particular, we want to know, is f double prime positive, in which case I'm concave up, or is it negative, in which case I'm concave down. And then our last thing is we're going to evaluate. And in particular, we're going to evaluate any critical number that's in the domain. In other words, there's actually a point there. And concave up is a minimum, and any critical number that's in the domain and concave down is a maximum. And that's the extent of the second derivative test.